and welcome to another video. In this lesson, we'll be looking at how to go about finding the percentage yield or theoretical yield, or we can say percentage yield and theoretical yield. Okay, before we get into our calculations, let's firstly look at what theoretical yield means. So theoretical yield means, or rather is the calculated yield of a product in a chemical reaction, and that's one of the things that we'll be looking into here. We'll be looking at how to calculate the theoretical yield, and here we learn that it is what the calculated yield of a product in a chemical reaction. Yield means something that can be produced, so that's what we'll be looking at, how much can be produced theoretically. And then we will also look into the definition of actual yield, which means the quantity that is physically obtained from a chemical reaction. So those are the definitions that you basically have to know. And then we go to the second important thing that you need to know, and that's the formula to go about calculating percentage yield. And I'm just gonna write that formula here. So if I'm looking for percentage yield, I'll say percentage yield is equal to actual yield. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna have enough space there. Let me just erase so that I can write where I have enough space. I think I should also change the size of my pen. So percentage yield is equal to actual yield divided by theoretical yield multiplied by 100. Okay, that is the definition of, or rather that is the formula to calculate percentage yield. Okay guys, now let's look into calculating our percentage yield. Okay, but firstly let's see what this statement says. So this statement, let me just get my pointer. It says here we have sulfuric acid, which is H2SO4, and it reacts with ammonia, and ammonia is NH3 to produce the fertilizer ammonium sulfate. Then they say, what is the theoretical yield of ammonium sulfate that can be obtained from 2 kilograms of sulfuric acid? Okay, so that's what we'll be looking at first. We want to find the theoretical yield. Okay, and in terms of going about that calculation, let's look at the information that we have first. So we are told here that sulfuric acid has this mass here, right? The mass of 20 kilograms. Okay, let me just raise here. So sulfuric acid has that mass of 20 kilograms, or rather 2,0 kilograms, right? Then this mass we will use to find the number of moles of sulfuric acid, and then we will then find the theoretical yield of ammonium sulfate. I hope you understand how this works. Okay, so let's do that. The first step is to use the information we have. The information we have at the moment is what? The number of moles of sulfuric acid, or rather, guys, what am I saying? We have the mass of sulfuric acid, and we will use that mass to find the number of moles of sulfuric acid. So my first step will be to say the number of moles is equal to molar mass. Okay, and then I will use this formula to find the number of moles of sulfuric acid. Okay, my mass in this case is 2 kg. I'm not converting anything this time around, so I'll write 2 kg or 2,0, same difference. Then I will write down at the bottom the molar mass of sulfuric acid, and sulfuric acid has this formula of H2SO4, as you can see. So for me to find the molar mass of sulfuric acid, I will say the molar mass of sulfuric acid, which is H2SO4, is equal to how many hydrogens do I have? 2 hydrogens multiplied by the mass of hydrogen, which is 1, plus this 1 sulfur, and the molar mass of sulfur is 32, plus the oxygen. But how many oxygens do I have? I have 4. So I'll multiply my 4 oxygens by the molar mass of oxygen, and the value I will get according to the calculator when I say 2 multiplied by 1 plus 32 plus 4 multiplied by 16, the answer I get is 98. So the molar mass of sulfuric acid is 98 grams per mole. Once I have found the molar mass of sulfuric acid, I will put it down here, 98. So I have the mass of sulfuric acid, which is 2 grams, and then I have the molar mass of sulfuric acid, which is 98 grams per mole. And then from here I will find the number of moles thereof. How do I find my number of moles? I will say 2 divided by 98, and the answer I get will be 0,0. Okay, let me just fix here. 98, here I will have 0,02. Okay, this is what I will have. Can round off to 3 or 4 decimal places. I'm choosing to work with 2 here, but I advise that to work with 4 at least as a student. Alright, now that I've found these number of moles of sulfuric acid, I'm going to use these number of moles to find the number of moles of what? Ammonium sulfate. Where is ammonium sulfate? Here is ammonium sulfate, or on the equation there. That's my ammonium sulfate. So I'm gonna use ratios for this one. Okay, let me just raise here to make space for myself. So after finding the number of moles of sulfuric acid using a formula, I will now use these number of moles to help me find the number of moles of ammonium sulfate. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Ammonium sulfate. Know what mess this thing is causing here. Excuse me for that. So how do I use ratios? I will put the information of what I have. So I'll say sulfuric acid, which is H2SO4, is to ammonium sulfate, and ammonium sulfate is NH4 with a 2 outside the bracket, SO4, and the ratio here will be in accordance to my balanced equation. And my balanced equation says that the coefficient of H2SO4 is 1, so my ratio here is going to be 1:2, and the coefficient of ammonium sulfate is also 1, so my ratio is 1:1. Now when it comes to this part, guys, if my ratio is 1:1, it means that my 2 substances are going to have the same number of moles. So the number of moles that I got here for sulfuric acid will be the number of moles of this one here, which is the ammonium sulfate. So here I will say, okay, after listing my ratios, I obviously have to write down the number of moles. So the number of moles of sulfuric acid are going to be 0,02 is to the number of moles of this one, which is N. I do not know them, right? That's why I'm looking for them. Now that I have this information, I check my ratio. It's 1:1, and 1:1 means that the number of moles of this substance, the sulfuric acid will be similar to the number of moles of this substance, which is the ammonium sulfate. So here I'll say N is equal to 0.02 moles or mole. Okay, once I've now found this number of moles, can you guess what is it that I'm gonna do? I'm finally gonna find my theoretical yield. My theoretical yield is the mass of this particular substance, which is the ammonium sulfate. How do I find those number of, that mass? I will use the formula N is equal to mass over molar mass, and if I work out this formula and make M the subject of the formula, it's almost like I'm cross multiplying. M multiplied by 1 will be M is equal to the number of moles multiplied by the molar mass. The number of moles are going to be 0.02 multiplied by the molar mass of this substance. The molar mass of this substance, if I find it here, what will be the molar mass of this substance? It's going to be 2 in brackets, this 2. You see this 2 that is outside the bracket? I put it here outside my bracket, and then I add the masses of the substances inside the bracket. So I have 14 for nitrogen, that's the molar mass of nitrogen, plus how many hydrogens do I have? I have 4 multiplied by the molar mass of nitrogen, which is 1. Close the bracket and add these substances S and O. How many sulfurs do I have? I only have 1, so I'll say 32 plus how many oxygens? I have 4 oxygens multiplied by 16. So I'm saying 4 oxygens multiplied by the molar mass of oxygen, and the answer I shall get from my calculator. Remember, I'm trying to find the molar mass of this substance. So I will say 2 in brackets 14 plus 4 times 1, and then close the bracket and say plus 32 plus 4 in brackets 16, close the bracket, and the answer I get is 132 grams per mole. So this is the molar mass of ammonium sulfate. Once I found that molar mass, I'll write it here because I'm trying to multiply by it. So I'll say 132 multiplied by 0.02, and the answer I get is going to be 2.64 kilograms. So this 2.64 kilograms, guys, is going to be my theoretical yield. So this mass will be my theoretical yield. I hope this makes sense, guys. So for me to get my theoretical yield, I firstly find the number of moles of sulfuric acid using the mass of 2 kg. And then once I do that, I will use ratios to find the number of moles of ammonium sulfate. Once I've found the number of moles of sulfate, I will use the moles formula. N is equal to small m over big M to find my mass. This mass will be my theoretical yield. That's how you solve this one. Okay. So we are done with the first one. Now we'll look at the second one. The second one says we have to calculate the percentage yield. But before we do that, let's see what they're saying here on our statement. So on our statement, they're saying it is found that 2.2 kilograms of fertilizer is formed. Calculate the percentage yield. So this, guys, is actually the 2.2 kg is going to be our actual yield. Okay, this one is going to be our actual yield. Let me just note it there. This one is our actual yield, the 2.2. all right. So for us to now solve this one of finding the percentage yield, what are we going to do? Well, we will obviously make use of this formula. Okay, we'll make use of that formula. Okay, I can't go back, but we'll make use of this formula basically. Okay, and then after making use of this formula, what else are we going to do? Well, substitute into the formula. Let me just erase the information that I don't need. I hope you've written what I'm erasing down. If not, you'll obviously revise or rather rewind. Okay, now when I'm looking for my percentage yield, this is my formula, so all I do is to substitute into it. My actual yield I've said is 2,2, and then I will divide that by my theoretical yield, which is 2,64, and then I'll multiply this by 100. Let's see what answer we are going to get. So when I go to my calculator, I'm going to have 2,2 divided by 2,64, and all of this will be multiplied by 100, and the value I get for my percentage yield is 83.33%, and that's how you go about finding your percentage yield. I hope all of this makes sense. If it doesn't, guys, you can always play back the video, but there will be more videos that guide you on how to go about finding the percentage yield. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it valuable, and yeah, feel free to like and share the video. Do not forget to subscribe. Until the next one, goodbye.